Hello, I'm Marguerite Oliver, President of AAMFT. The Board of Directors met on March 2nd and 3rd, immediately prior to the Leadership Symposium in Santa Fe, New Mexico. As will be evident in this report, the meeting was full, with a number of action items that were considered. While a full report is posted, I want to provide highlights of the meeting in this video. In routine business, the Board of Directors approved all the items in the consent agenda. According to Robert's Rules of Order, a consent agenda allows the Board to vote on a group of items as a whole without discussion. Routine items that are non-controversial or standard and that involve merely accepting reports may be included. Any board member can request that any item be removed from the consent agenda. If that happens, the item is removed and placed on the regular meeting agenda. In this meeting, the consent agenda included a number of items such as reports and minutes from the previous meeting. No items were removed, and the items in the consent agenda were approved. A complete list of these items can be found in my written report to the members. The board also considered the bylaws. Because the bylaws change that was proposed to membership in 2015 did not receive the required 2/3 vote, a number of important technical and non-controversial changes that were recommended by a professional registered parliamentarian, agreed upon by staff, and approved by the AAMFT board were not approved. In addition, these changes had been previously recommended by the Bylaws Task Force in 2015. The changes are considered best practice in the nonprofit world, and the board considers them to be of significance that is enough that waiting until the next substantial revision of the bylaws is unwise. Therefore, the board directed the proposed revisions to be presented to AAMFT voting members for their consideration with the 2016 ballot. The AAMFT board also considered the emerging international market and is aware of the importance of an evaluative track to membership in AAMFT that is relevant to the country of residence of those who wish to be members of AAMFT. With that in mind, the Board of Directors approved the establishment of the International Evaluative Track Criteria Task Force to examine the process of creating a membership category, the International Clinical Fellow with country name specified. The task force will deliver a report at the 2016 September board meeting that addresses a number of issues, such as how to balance equivalency standards against cultural differences, any potential dilution of clinical fellow status, obligations of a standards and evaluation committee for an emerging market, and evaluation and application processes. The board also considered practices of AAMFT that have been in place with the Canadian Association for Marriage and Family Therapy. AAMFT has a long history of rebating the Canadian registry $10 per clinical fellow and $5 for preclinical fellow. The Canadian registry has now become the Canadian Association for Marriage and Family Therapy. The AAMFT board moved to discontinue the distribution of funds beginning in 2017 to the Canadian AAMFT. Those funds will be used to invest instead in benefits that will directly benefit all Canadian AAMFT members. The goal is to maximize the impact of these funds for members and to ensure transparency and accountability for the funds. With regards to the AAMFT Research and Education Foundation, the board had previously charged staff to establish benchmark data for the foundation by March 2016. The board unanimously agreed that the charge had been satisfactorily completed and approved the annual financial benchmarks that were proposed. A second action was also taken with regards to the foundation. The foundation now houses the Minority Fellowship Program, which includes 2 SAMHSA grants. The expansion of grant programs has escalated indirect cost, and in 2015, the AAMFT board designated a fund to demonstrate commitment to the MFP grants through 2018 to cover all indirect costs and fringe benefits that are not covered by the federal awards. In addition, the AAMFT board previously approved one-time funds to support the relaunch of the foundation for 2015 and 2016. Funds from AAMFT for the MFP grants exist to cover AAMFT's financial commitment for operational losses on the MFP grants and are not support for the programming of the foundation. Thus, the board approved a motion to cover all additional expenses that are operational losses for the AAMFT Research and Education Foundation beyond those covered for the MFP grants for the next 3 years. In addition, the board voted to commit an additional amount of up to $37,500 to show support for the foundation. Finally, the board considered the dissolution of the Maine Association for Marriage and Family Therapy. The dissolution was an action that was taken by the Maine AMFT and voted on by their board and their members in accordance with their bylaws. The Maine division requested AAMFT help in partnering to assist with post-dissolution activity in Maine. Coordinated efforts between AAMFT staff and the Maine division includes a plan for a Maine network to be established. Thank you for listening and for being a part of AAMFT.